we've been looking forward to this, and I'm just trying to think how long it is that we've been planning this. I'd love to say this event has been a year in the planning, but we had all the tutors together for a dinner a couple of weeks ago, and you can all thank Yanil. I think it was your inspired idea, Yanil, because a big part of what we're focusing on with HOSPA's professional development now and moving forward is being even more engaged with our learners than we have been in the past. And Yanil said, hey, why don't we, just between the two programs, from the previous one finishing and before the next one starts, why don't we just have a webinar, a session where people can get to know us, ask us questions, because you always get loads of stuff that sounds very salesy coming out over LinkedIn or wherever else it might be. How about if you get to talk to the real tutors that make our programs different? And I must say that's one of the things I love about the way these programs have been developed. They've been running, Jane will correct me if I get this wrong, over 30 years we've had a HOSPA professional development program, and HOSPA's been around for over 50 years. So we've been around for a little while, but perhaps we've kept it a little bit too much of a secret. So we are going out of our way to make sure a few more people know about what we do and what these programs are all about. And that's why we all thought, when Yanil came up with the idea, that this would be a great way to get people to understand that these programs, yes, they're online. Yes, they're developed for people in full-time work in challenging hospitality jobs that they can do to develop their own professional skills and to get an accredited, certified program to support their learning and to back up that professional development that they're investing in. So, you know, that's the really chunky stuff about what we're all about. We originally started as HOSPA with a finance program back in the good old days. I won't even say the acronym because we're so far beyond that now, but we started very much as finance. We then brought in revenue management. There weren't a lot of certified revenue management programs out there, and still today, there's plenty of little bits and pieces you can do with a whole range of consultants. Having been one, I can say that. But to have something that's really robust, that was built in partnership with a university, originally had university credits associated with it, so at that level, delivered online, you can do it remotely, you can be in a gorgeous luxury hotel on the Outer Hebrides if you want to, and it'll still work for you, or the furthest extremes of Germany perhaps, maybe even Frankfurt. So you can be anywhere and you can do these programs. But one of the things that makes them different from an online delivery point of view is the guys you've got on the call here tonight. So you have real live tutors, guys who know this stuff, who love teaching it and love interacting with people. You are not required to attend online classes with them. You are not required to do any of that. But if you're working in a full-time job and you think, you know what, I just don't understand this module, I don't understand this assessment, I've read the stuff and it's still not sticking in my head, you can contact a tutor. If there's several people in that situation, you can arrange a call, and you've got real people there who really want you to succeed. So I'm going to shut up as quickly as I can. This is what the opportunity is all about, to give you guys a chance to ask them questions. So what we're going to do, we're going to run through the three tutors. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, give you a brief background on what their area is, and maybe give you a real life learner story that'll help you to understand a bit more about what it actually means to be working with these guys on one of our programs. So with no further ado, Janelle, as the lead of our tutors, take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so hi, welcome to everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's really exciting for us because we haven't done anything like this before, and it's always one of the challenges for us and for the learners on the course is that we don't interact online as much as we would like to. So that's one of the big changes that we're making going forward. So I am responsible for the revenue management program. So I'll be the tutor on all 3 stages, on the foundation level, the professional certification and the diploma level of revenue management. I've been working with HOSPA and been the tutor now for, I think this is my 5th year on the revenue management program. So I know, thank you, I know the program pretty well. Obviously it changes and develops as we go through each year. And again, as I mentioned, this year we're really looking at some new developments, bringing in a lot more interaction with the tutor on probably an hour-long Zoom calls where it's a Q&A in preparation for the next assignment, so you can ask those difficult questions about the assignment, make sure that you're really clear in your mind what's expected of you. So that will be introduced going forward in the new cohort from March onwards, and a lot more video content, and we update the content regularly anyway, but there'll be just more trying to make it a little bit more engaging with the content. As Michael said, the courses were first written in partnership with a university, so there is an academic side to the course, but there's also very much input from professionals and from the industry. So I think what you get from these programs is you get that mix of the academic, but also real industry experiences, case studies, and the tutors. So all of us come, you know, with that professional experience and background. So for me, I started in revenue management when it was called yield management, and even before, I don't even like to say this, but before the internet. So before we had OTAs, and there was the internet was a booking channel. So it was reservations and yielding. And then gradually, as the discipline evolved, then my role evolved and my learning evolved. So I started on property. I actually started in a call center for IHG, just taking reservations, and I couldn't understand why sometimes I could book hotels and sometimes I couldn't, and I didn't really understand how they, you know, worked out these strategies about rates and things. So I went on to property to understand that, and then moved from IHG and Marriott into a smaller hotel group, and eventually became director of revenue for that group, and then went into a bit of supplier side. Travel Click is a company that you may be aware of, so I worked with them for a while as a revenue manager for hotels around in the EMEA area, and then I went into more consulting and training, and then sort of fell into training, but for the last 5 years plus that's been really my focus. So I run these courses in revenue management. I do some hotel hospitality school lecturing, and some smaller workshops with some of the universities as part of their professional development programs as well. So I love it. I love meeting the learners. I love it when you ask questions. I love helping you through your own development. I guess the best, well, my favorite at the moment, my favorite learner story, we just had the HOSPA Professional Development Awards last week at the Savoy. I think it was last week. Yeah. So you get to, when you finish your course, you get to have afternoon tea in a prestigious 5-star hotel. Yeah. So that's very nice. So we had the awards last week, and as tutors, we are allowed to pick a learner and award them for something specifically that we are, you know, particularly impressed by. And the lady that I gave my award to, she'd actually gone through the first 2 stages of the revenue management program. So she'd self-funded, so she paid for herself to go through the first 2 stages, because she was working at holiday camp, sort of vacation rental sites, and she wanted to get into hotels, and she thought this would be a good way if she invested in herself and did some professional development, and this would be a good way. And with HOSPA, obviously it's industry recognized, so it gave her that little bit of confidence to think this is actually a good course and it will mean something. So she went through those first 2 stages, and she was, as I say, she was working in the vacation rental holiday park sort of sector, wanted to get into hotels, and after she'd finished the two levels, she went into a hotel, for a 5-star hotel, as a reservation manager. That was her first step, and she was super pleased, and she was like, my dream is going to be that I will become a revenue manager. And 6 months later, the revenue manager at the property left and moved on to something else, and she was offered the job. So within a year of finishing her professional certificate with us, she'd actually achieved that dream of becoming a revenue manager in a 5-star property. And I was just so pleased for her because it's such an amazing story. And she'd really invested in herself and seen where this could take her. So that's just a story that I wanted to share, because well done, Sam. She did a great job. So that's me. So anyone that out there looking at revenue management, yes, come and join us. And in a moment, you can ask any questions that you want about, you know, what do I need to know before I start? How long is it going to take me? How much work do I need to do? So we'll give you a big chance in a moment to ask all those questions. So all the revenue managers, just feel free to ask me whatever you need to. And now I'm going to pass you over to Yanil, who looks after our finance programs. So off you go, Yanil.
Thank you, thank you, Janelle, and good evening to everyone. Thank you all for joining today and taking some time out of your your busy evenings. So my name's Yanil Patel, and I'm the tutor for finance and accounting for the different stages we have that we offer at HOSPA. So we've got a few different levels, but before I talk about that, I just wanted to talk a bit about myself actually. So I come more from the educational and professional learning background. I've developed, mentored, taught various finance and accounting programs with different university partners, but also with professional as well. So different types of finance and accounting, education, all coming together. That's me. So that's the reason I'm here, and that's the reason I'm working with HOSPA on this exciting program. So you may know already, we offer a few different programs in finance, ranging from the introductory level to the operational, right through to the strategic level. Now, different learners may see themselves on different programs, and that's totally fine. We offer a range. You may say you would like to start at the introductory level, learn those basics, and then develop through to the strategic level. However, you may say, I've actually got a good foundation knowledge already. I want to come in at that higher level, and we can help you with that and help you in deciding that as well. So we offer 3 different levels: introductory, operational, and strategic. Now, us as a tutor, that's the exciting part. That's where these programs are a bit different to your typical online programs. We're here as tutors to support you through the program. You may say, I don't want any help, and that's the point I say, okay, fine, please just submit your work on time. You may say you want regular help. We can also accommodate to those needs as well. Or you may say you're in between both. When you're busy at work, you don't want to talk to me, and when you've got more time, you might want more of our help. And as I said, we can accommodate to all of those needs. And what I really enjoy about delivering these programs is that everyone's very different. Everyone's situation is very different. Everyone's work commitments are very different. So what we say is, you work at your pace and we will accommodate you on that. Now, I've got a story which I wanted to share, a learner story actually. Now, this is one just from the last intake, and I've got the learner's permission to share the story. So it's a learner who started the operational program. So it's that second stage in the course. The student started off, midway through, popped me an email and said, Yanil, look, I'm done with I think I'm done. Work's getting a bit busy. I'm not too sure if I'm fully understanding everything. I'm finding it all a bit of a stretch. So that's the point at which I said, well, let's have a phone call. Yeah, let's have a virtual coffee. That's when COVID cases are a bit higher. So let's have a virtual coffee. Let's talk it over. We spent about 30 minutes going through the student's work, And she said, look, I've done this. I said, looks great. She's showing me all of the different parts of her work. And what it turned out is that all she actually needed was the confidence boost. She had all of the work there. It was probably 90% correct, but all she wanted was someone to say the work's correct. And why I found that interesting is because once she had that confirmation, she submitted the work. She scored a very high grade, and actually then went on to finish the course. And we had a chat at the end of the course, and it was interesting because all it was is the confidence she needed, and she actually had all of the knowledge herself. So sometimes there can be a fear of online learning, especially when it comes to finance. I've taught a lot of different learners, and when they hear numbers or they hear accounting or bookkeeping, it can sometimes put a fear into you. But as I said, we as tutors are here to kind of support you with that and help you through that. So the learner's very happy, progress through, and also going on to the strategic level starting just next month. So that's some good news there. This is the point that I'll stop talking because I know we are tight on time, and I'll pass over to Ali, who is our third tutor, or the next tutor.
Thank you very much, Yanil, and hello everybody. I'm Ali Powell. So yes, I tutor the Brilliant Asset Management Program. So would love to tell you a bit more about that. Yep, start a bit about myself here and the sort of story into asset management. So I come from a lot of operator background in terms of working for a lot of the big corporate hotel groups for most of my life internationally. So the Hiltons, the IHG, the Whitbreads, you know, I'm obsessed with hotels. I absolutely love them, making people happy every day. It's the best job in the world. And yeah, I've always come from that background. And then what's been interesting in terms of the shift to asset management is then more for the last 5 years of my life, more working on the investor owner side in terms of you know, reporting from the operator to the owner investors. So actually about profit and how much you make from someone who more owns the assets. So I like having these different hats that I've played, being able to understand the different stakeholder views, which is all about asset management. And I think, you know, back to when I got interested in this topic, I mean, I first came into the hotel world. I worked for Hilton on this sort of fast track elevator program they do. And I remember being in the Hilton Belfast, if any of you know that property. And this is a typical asset management thing here, where you're looking at the ground floor and thinking, ooh, you know, there's a lot of dead space here, if you like, yeah, should it just be totally empty? Is that part of the arrival experience, or actually is this just, you know, a lot of lost opportunity here, that this could actually be something more to make revenue and improve the customer experience? So could the lobby be used for retail? Could it be used for a coffee shop? That was my case study. Should it be a coffee shop? Should it be used for co-working, you could say, nowadays after COVID? So I've been always fascinated with how you optimize your revenue per square foot. Anywhere I go, I would love to do that. It drives my husband mad. I can't like not sit somewhere and think about how you'd make more money. You know, I'm in an airport lounge. I'm thinking, oh, well, they could sell here. They could partner here. I'm in Go Ape. I'm thinking about where you can make more money. So this is really sort of into the world of asset management. It's really how you drive value. So value is how you increase revenue or you reduce costs. It's delightful that it's been gaining more popularity in the last year or two. It's more in the press, which is brilliant, as everybody now really, you know, needs to know what levers you pull, but also how you communicate with these different stakeholders groups, understanding where you all might be coming across to reach different goals. So yes, asset management program, wonderful program. I think everybody needs it. We have 3 stages too, and I love the mixture of the great knowledge so that you can talk someone's language. I was talking about that the other day with someone, just the confidence they'd grown being able to just happily pick up the phone to an owner or present a business case because they can speak their language now. Back to Janelle's point about confidence. So you get the confidence to speak your language, and then it's very practical. You know, we work through case studies and examples of actually applying this in real world situations. And another thing people enjoy is the peer-to-peer networking. You know, we had this wonderful event at the Savoy the other day, but along the way you will get to know your peer group and share your practices and your pains and your challenges, and that's a very supportive network. So thank you. Hand over to Michael again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So you will have all noticed that this is a 1-hour call that we'd scheduled, and we're doing the opposite to a normal webinar. In a normal webinar, we keep talking until there's about 90 seconds left and then ask you all for questions. So this is the kind of webinar where we're only 22 minutes in, and now we're opening the floor because the whole point of this evening is for you guys to be able to ask any questions you like of the tutors. As you can tell, they're pretty enthusiastic about what it is we're delivering. I know we've got a few of you online here who've already signed up for the March intake. If you are a little shy, maybe some of you might be, feel free to use the chat, and then I get to read your questions out on your behalf. Otherwise, if you have a look on the bottom line of the Zoom, you'll see there's a reactions button. If you click on the reactions and do the raise the hand, there'll be a little yellow hand that pops up. That way I can invite you to ask a question. It just helps us not have everyone jump in at the same time and manage that. So I wonder if we have anyone that has a question that would like to get the ball rolling. Okay, we've got one on there for you, Yanil. Congratulations, you're going first. How many exams are there for finance? It's all about your exams, Yanil.
Excellent. So in terms of assessment, we have 4 coursework submissions throughout the 5-month period and 1 final exam.
That's the same for the revenue management as well. Yeah. If any revenue management potential people out there, is exactly the same format. So within the 5 months, there's 4 pieces of coursework that have to be submitted, and then there's 1 final exam, which is online.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think with the it's the same. The diploma is slightly different for the revenue management. The diploma is based on a case study, so a business project. So you pick the topic and then you work on that case study, on that business project for most of that time. So it's slightly different, and there's no exam at that level. Yay. People are always worried about the exams. So, and the exam is pretty easy. It's 1 2-hour online exam.
I think my favorite element of that professional diploma for the revenue management course, if I'm an owner thinking about spending money on, investing in someone's professional development, doing the revenue management professional diploma, the top stage, the ROI is so easy because I have to do an applied business project that's going to generate revenue for the business. And generally, no one's been aiming low. They tend to want to do something that's really driving the business forward. Yeah. In the final stage of the asset management, so that also has the 3 stages, there will be applied projects. So we're still in the development stage of that. Ali's got the foundation stage delivered for the first time at the end of last year. The next intake will have the foundation stage and the operational stage. And stay tuned, in the summer, we will have the professional diploma, the strategic stage with the applied project as well. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. We're getting a few questions starting to pop up there. So is the coursework an essay? Do you want to take that one, Janelle?
Yeah. Some of the coursework pieces are essays. Most of them are reports. I think there was a question about word count. So there is a set word count for each piece. And again, you can go over by 10%, just a standard margin. The word count is put there to help you to make sure that you can focus on the right area, so you don't go off and write too much. Depends on which assignment it is. It can be around 1,000 to 1,200 words. Some assignments are a little bit longer as you go into the later stages of the program. But in the foundation level, for example, it's usually around 1,200 words, the assignment for the report. And you can also, some of them might ask you to include an Excel document as a support. So for example, if you were putting together a demand calendar, then you would create a demand calendar on Excel and submit that, but you would have the written report of around 1,200 words. Yeah, so that's
brilliant.
pretty
Thank
much.
you, Janelle.
Yep.
I'll take the next one from Eloise. When do we receive the coursework, and will it be through the HOSPA site? So we have a separate site, which is HOSPA Learning, and everything, we use Moodle as the learning management system. It's something that many universities use. It's a high standard LMS, learning management system, used around the world, and we deliver everything through that. So we'll have you logged on and signed on and ready to go on that, all of your materials, and you'll submit your work through that. And it also means when you complete your course, you'll get all your grades, your developmental feedback. So the tutors don't just give you a number, they will also give you developmental feedback on the assessments that you're completing. The next one, I think I can probably take as well. When should we expect the textbooks to arrive? The textbooks are online textbooks. And when you start the program, at the beginning of the program, you will receive all the textbooks through there. As far as possible, we like people to have paid for the programs before we start spending hundreds of pounds on sending out textbooks. Not every course has a textbook. Like Janelle was saying, with the professional diploma, the top stage of the revenue management, you've had your textbook generally through one of the other two, and it's much more applied in how you're doing those. Janelle's already taken the next one on how many words. Another one for you, Janelle.
Mm-hmm.
Revenue management. Any tips of not feeling overwhelmed and realizing you've left the submission to the last minute?
Oh, we all do that, right? We all do that. Well, I think it goes back to what Yanil was saying as well, with his example of the learner that he spoke about. And it's the same for all of us tutors. If there's at any stage where you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or at the beginning, you're given a timetable. So in that timetable, and again, this is self-paced, it's up to you when you do this work. There are deadlines for the assignments, but they're usually 4 or 5 weeks apart. So you do have, and at the beginning of the course, you get that whole program. So you get all of your dates ahead, way in advance. The timetable is there as a bit of guidance to help you to manage your own time, because we appreciate as well that most of the learners are working full time. You've got other family commitments and things going on. So we appreciate that you're fitting this in around your busy lives. So we're there to support you and to help you in any way we can. So if there is at any time when you're feeling like, I'm not going to get this done, or I'm a couple of weeks behind, or oh my gosh, like deadline's Monday and I haven't even started, straight away you reach out to us. That's exactly why we're there. That's the big difference between any other online course where you're just left to get on with it on your own. The fact is that you have someone there who is there to help you, to support you. If it takes a 30-minute phone call, like Yanil mentioned, or sometimes with some of my learners, we have to have a call before every assignment. We have to have a call to go through, okay, what's expected, and just to give you that peace of mind to say, yes, you are on the right track. That's exactly what you need to do. These are the key points to pull out, and to help you to get back on track. Obviously, at the moment with COVID and things, there are, in the last intake, I had two people that sadly, you know, were quite sick over the sort of Christmas, New Year period, and they ended up, one of them had to defer one of the reports, one of the assignments, but they've signed up to do the next stage of the program. So they will just go back and finish off that assignment when they can to fit in, but they'll carry on with their learning. So we can be as flexible as we, you know, as we need to be, really. That's why we're here. So yeah, brilliant. I hope that answers the question. But yeah, just the first thing is you just ask us. And also, I think going forward, as I said, we're going to introduce more regular calls with the tutor as a group, so that everyone can log on, and if it, you know, or it'll be recorded. So there'll be a few more tips and help, this is what's expected in the next assignment. So it will give you a little bit more guidance, I guess, and hopefully support. So that was...
Just building on that answer from Janelle, I'm going to ask a leading question of Yanil and say, Yanil, is there anything in particular you take into account when you're thinking about the due dates for your assessment? Finance people, mate.
The one thing we can commit to is that we won't have assessment due dates near the month end. So that way you'll be able to manage your month end demands, but also your learning.
Fantastic. And while I've got you on the hotspot there's a question: what software will we need for the finance course? So
as for the finance itself, what, you know, it's more conceptual, it's more that understanding of what's going on. So we don't run the actual software itself. So in terms of the software, you need pretty much the Excel for the budgets, you know, the Word for the write-up of the essays, as we said, and that's about it, really. You won't need any additional software.
But writing the reports, if I'm working on a Mac, I can use whatever word processor I like, can't I?
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Ali, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one. So we've got a question from Eva. How soon are the tutors usually available to answer questions? You get the easy ones, Ali.
Yeah, straight away. Like Michael says, we have this this great platform. So when you ask a question, it will come into us. So we would like to respond to you in a very fast turnaround time. You know, we could do it either on the forum, or we could email, or you know, sometimes we could get on Zoom or a phone call if you prefer.
One thing I would add to that is these guys do have jobs they do outside of this. Janelle's been up in Manchester doing
and Belfast
work.
this week.
In Belfast doing some work. I've even had her in train stations doing work on rail revenue management. So each one of these guys has other stuff that they do. So it's not like they're sat in a goldfish bowl just waiting to pounce on an email. But we're pretty confident, as Ali was saying, within a maximum of 48 hours responding to someone. I know normal business turnaround is 24 hours, but sometimes the questions people ask us, we need to look into a bit further, particularly if it's things around an assessment. So our commitment is that our tutors, even though they have full-time jobs, will respond within that time frame. And Ali, while I've got you on the spot, I'm going to throw Benjamin's question at you. Thanks for that one, Benjamin. Who is the asset management course aimed at? And do I need to be at a head of department level?
Yeah, that is a brilliant question, Benjamin. Thank you so much for that. That is wonderful to cover it. Yeah, I'm just saying, so I sort of take from your question there, and please, if you want to interact with me live, please do, because I'm not sure if you're on at a hotel in a specific position yourself. So yeah, there's typically like 3 groups of target audience for the asset management. So yes, one is in the hotel themselves. We can typically have general managers or finance managers or commercial directors, and the flexibility around our courses, though, is that we have 3 stages anyway. So I think everybody should be doing the foundation level, and you don't have to be a HOD. We don't look at job titles like that. It's more about someone with, you know, hunger to learn, and that's it really. It's hunger to learn and support. So so absolutely, you don't need to be a HOD. We would love to welcome everyone on the course. The second group of people is so we have some like asset management companies, like a I won't get into names. We have asset management companies, and you know, that is their skill, obviously, to go in and act as the middleman, usually between the operator and the owner. And we have people in there interested because they want to be on their top game, and they have all sorts of levels: junior, middle, senior, and they're always hungry with a growth mindset to improve people. And a bit related to that, you know, we have hotel management companies who again need to be experts in knowing how to move the needle on the dial, you know, to drive the performance. And so they're interested as well.
I think it's quite interesting if we, again, Ali, think back to our event at the Savoy. Your star from the foundation stage was an area financial controller wanting to understand the asset manager's side a bit better. And as you mentioned before, he's completed his foundation stage. He's moving straight on to the professional certificate or the operational stage with our March intake. We did in our pilot of the foundation stage, we had a hotel general manager who'd previously always been in managed hotels, had gone into franchise hotels and wanted to understand the asset management side a bit more. So it's pretty broad. But if you're needing to have a conversation with Ali to understand how challenging it is, we send out information on what's covered in the modules. But I'd always say, you know, we've got these fabulous tutors. Don't just talk to someone who's sounding a bit salesy. Talk to someone who's going to be supporting you through it, who wants you to succeed. And that's why these conversations with tutors are so key. Our next question that we've got, Janelle, I'm going to pass to you, because although it's aimed at you from an RM point of view, I think the question applies quite clearly across all. So Sarah has said, I've signed up for the foundation level as I felt it best to experience the whole program or the whole course. However, my general manager felt I should join at the next stage, at level 2, at the operational. What are your thoughts on these 2 different levels?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so the foundation level is the basics of revenue management. So an introduction for people who maybe are working at the moment in revenue, but they haven't had any formal training. I know, like, it happened to me. Just one day you're reservations manager, the next day you're revenue manager. You get a new title and a new job and everything's great, but you don't know anything more than you knew on Friday. And now you're expected to do a completely different job. So sometimes people just develop into these roles, but without then, and there's nobody in the hotel for you to learn from because there was never a revenue manager before, you know. So so the foundation level is good for people maybe who are already in revenue, in a junior position, or even a revenue manager who just wants to tick the box and go, actually, I think I know this, I've been muddling through and I think I'm doing it right, but I'm not sure. And it's just for that, again, that confidence, and just to make sure, yes, this is right, you know, you are on the right track. And there's obviously there'll be new things that you'll learn as well on the way, but it's the basic. It's also for people that maybe in sales, front office, who are thinking, oh, actually revenue could be a new path for me. We also have GMs who come on the foundation level who just think, you know, I'm never going to be a revenue manager, but I would quite like to understand. I think Yanil said, somebody, you know, when you go into a meeting, or Ali, once you go into a meeting, you're using the right language. So you can, you know, even as a GM, it's like the revenue manager comes in and baffles me with their data and their RevPARs and TrevPARs, and it's like, I just want to make sure that I'm asking the right question. So again, it's the foundation level is quite open, we talk about market segmentation, we talk about demand, we do a little bit about pricing, but it's a very sort of general level. And then to go into the strategic level, then it's more of a drill down into, okay, forecasting, pricing, that sort of thing. So you do need to certainly have a certain amount of experience and knowledge to go in straight at that at the second stage, at the professional certificate. But we do have an assignment that you can do online, which is just a very quick hour assignment that will test your skills and your knowledge, which is free, and you can do that before you start the course to say, okay, am I at the level where I go in, where I can actually, my knowledge is there already, that I can start at this professional certificate. Because the worst thing is if you do go in at that second level and then think, oh, actually, you know, I haven't got the formal learning. I thought I knew this, but I don't, and I would have been better to go in on the foundation level. So there is a way that we can actually give you that assignment online. It's just you do it very quickly online, and you have to answer questions, like multiple choice questions, and it's just to check whether or not you're at that level. And that's the same for finance as well. Yanil, you have the same thing.
Yep, I was just going to add actually into there. We have the same. We also have an assessment for finance, and it's not an entry exam of any type. It's really just to understand where you're at, and then say, actually, no, you're going to be better on level 2, stage 2, or stage 3, or whichever one it is. So it's more just to gauge where you're at the moment, and then we can decide, you know, which one's the best place to start.
I think that's a great way of putting it, Yanil. It gives us the opportunity to then have an informed conversation with someone. Yeah. And we've given ourselves a little more flexibility recently to be able to say, well, you know, out of that foundation stage, out of the 4 modules, you're really solid on 3 of them, but there's one that it looks like you're not confident on, you've not had experience in. We'll give you the opportunity to do that one module in addition. So if you do that, you can then do the rest of the next stage. So we're quite flexible, and very much that quiz, if you want to think of it that way, that knowledge test, if you want to think of it that way, is to allow us to then have a really good conversation about what's right for you. And I think, Colleen, the guys have done brilliantly in answering your question within that as well. So well done to Chanel and Yanil in that one. While we've got you in the hot seat there, Yanil, I'm going to throw Philippa's question at you. It might be a strange question, but how much time do people find they dedicate to their studies during the course? In a week, for example. So
I think it's hard to give an exact number, and the reason why is because you know, assessments coming at different times, and also everyone's workload is up and down as well, isn't it? Our workload is never constant throughout the year, so it really does depend. There is an expectation to do a few hours of learning every week to make sure that, you know, you're keeping up to date, even if you don't have an assessment due in 2 or 3 weeks, but making sure you're working towards that, you know, so 3, 4, 5 hours a week. But as I said, because it's independent, it's personal, if you've done 3 hours this week and you've done 6 the following week, you know, you can manage your own time in how you prefer to. Fantastic, thanks for that. The one other comment that I've heard a few times from the tutors is that when people first start, it takes a little while to kind of find your feet and work out what's right for you. So typically the first module that we do isn't as heavy, because we recognize people are finding their feet. But that sometimes means when you get into the second module, you start to feel like, whoa, hang on, this is, you know, I just got my head around that. This is a bit more challenging. Once you've got to that stage of the second module, that's pretty much the level of demand that you'll see all the way through. And broadly speaking, we say to people somewhere between 4 and 5 hours a week on average, as Yanil was saying. Looks like the next one's for you as well, Yanil. I'm considering Sema. This is Barry speaking.
As well, I can see that you do get exemptions by doing our courses. How does the finance program compare to Sema?
So you do get exemptions to Sema. So Sema is a chartered accountancy in management accounting. What we offer, what this certificate offers, is that tailored experience to the hospitality industry. So the learning is built around the hospitality industry. So the case studies, the learning is around hotels, it is around resorts. That's where how the program differs to what Sema is, where Sema is the chartered accountancy for the general accounting, whereas this is got the hospitality twist on it. Is the short answer to your question.
Fantastic. Yeah, the Sema guys have been fantastically supportive. And I'm just building on what Yanil's saying. In the revenue management and in the asset management, if you have a degree of a level of industry experience, you might feel more comfortable with coming straight in that middle stage. But one of the considerations that's different with Yanil's finance courses is when you want those exemptions, you might want to make sure, you know what, I need to make sure that I've got those foundational pieces really locked away. So his is a little bit different to the other two. We've got a nice one there from Theo. I'm going to throw this to Ali. English is not my native language, as you can tell from my strong Australian accent. Am I going to find the course difficult? Is there a prerequisite test before starting the course for English? We don't have one at the moment, do we, Ellie?
No, we don't. You know, we would, you know, love to welcome everyone, and you know, English as a business language is definitely the way that we like to operate. So yeah, we don't have any specific prerequisite test at the moment. Anything you would add, Michael?
Yeah, I'd just say it's one of the challenges, and the reason I picked on Ellie for that one is, particularly when you look at something like asset management, there's a difference between general conversational English and hospitality business English. So one of the things that you learn through the program, even though I speak half decent passable English, I think Jane's going to laugh at me at that point, not too bad on a good day. There are certain things when you start getting into the nitty-gritty of where asset managers operate, where you need to learn the kind of language, the kind of jargon, the kind of terminology. But one of the things that we are working on is to have an English language assessment, and a very cheap, simple, quick one that people can use, because in the same spirit as what Janelle and Yanil have been saying, we want people to succeed and thrive. We don't want this to be a screaming nightmare for them. So we will have a simple English language assessment you can do, where if you meet that standard, we know we can support you the rest of the way. That's what we're working towards. We don't have a formal one yet, but that's something that we're working towards to support people. So with Eva in Germany, if she's got some people in her area where she thinks, I'm not sure how they're going to be, the two things I'd recommend straight away: ask us, we'll give them something they can do. And the second thing is give them a chance to have a chat with Ali or Yanil or Janelle, because, you know, the best way in the world is to have a conversation and say, I think we can work together and make this work for you. If you're concerned about that, your connection and your trust in the support you've got from our tutor is probably going to be the biggest thing that'll get you through. So they're real humans and they're keen to be part of your success. Right, do we have anything else? We've got Eva's answer there. We've got Teo's answer covered. Fantastic. Do we have any final questions from anyone?
I can see one about software for RM.
Ah, fantastic.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so the
Edward.
answer is you don't need any.
Hey!
So if you have an RMS, brilliant. If you don't have one, that's fine. As long as you've got a PMS in your hotel, you've got data. So, and even on the last, yes, sir. But it must be good data. But even on the last course, I had a lady who was running an 8-bedroom B&B down on the south coast. So she had probably a paper diary, I don't know, bless her, but it's fine. It's understanding the principles. All of the assignments are based on your experience, so it's about putting the theory of what you've learned in that module into practice, so showing us that you can apply what you've learned. So if you learn, you know, that the revenue management definition is these 5 rights, then okay, what does that really mean? If you can spout off the 5 rights to me, my daughter could do that when she was 4. She had no idea what it meant. She still laughs at it, and she's 26 now. But I'll say, Liv, what are the 5 rights of revenue management? And she'll tell me, but she doesn't know what that means. So the fact that you can spout some theory or a definition is great, but you need to be able to apply that to your business. So for all of the assignments, it's okay, this is what we've learned in this module. So how does that apply? And the more references that you can give to your own business or your own experience or what's happening in the industry at the moment, the better. So yeah, but as far as software is concerned, Excel.
Just to build on that one, Janelle, you and I think Yanil have had a couple of people in the previous intake who weren't working in hotels.
No.
They couldn't use hotel data from businesses they were working in for their case studies and those sorts of things. How do you handle those?
So should I take this one, Jen?
Yeah, go on.
So and that's totally fine. You know, people could be in between work and you may not have access to the data. Or we had one situation where a learner explained that the hotel wasn't comfortable in giving out the data, and that's totally fine. We also have alternatives in place for that. So we have alternative assignments, and in my particular example, we had a set of data and we had a slightly different assessment criteria for the learners who didn't have that access. So that's not a problem at all.
Fantastic.
No, I've had people go through the course that are working for tech companies, working with hotels, so hotel suppliers, so channel management companies or price rate shop companies, but where their account managers are talking to hotels all day long and they talk to the revenue manager. So they just wanted to really understand exactly what does the revenue manager do. So again, they've not had hotel data to be able to access, so they can, but we can work around it.
So we've got data, we can help them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we need to.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the next one from Paddy. Are these courses globally recognized?
Hi, Paddy. I just say a special hello to Paddy. He's been working really hard. Go on, sorry.
The good news for you, Paddy, these courses, we have an arrangement now with Emirates Academy, where people studying a degree at Emirates Academy, they will be getting Yanil's foundation certificate. We will be getting the exam results from those learners. We've mapped their coursework to what we cover in our courses. And that means Emirates Academy are promoting the fact that their courses are, you get our HOSPA certificates. And as some of you may know, Emirates Academy has quite a broad international catchment area that it covers, from Russia and Eastern Europe through into the subcontinent and right through the Middle East and increasingly into Africa. So that will already increase the knowledge. One of the reasons they came to that arrangement with us, they did a survey of their students where they put up a bunch of different certifications to ask which ones they'd be interested in. They put eCornell up there, they put HSMAI up there, they put a few up there, and the students felt that the HOSPA one was the one that they valued the most. So they approached us for this. So I think it gives you an indication that we are growing in our recognition. One of the comments from those students was they felt The US-based ones were very US-based, and a UK-based hospitality industry professional accredited course is more internationally recognized and is more open to the way business is done in the rest of the world. And we're very proud of that. We also in the UK have a pretty high standard of higher education. And as we said at the beginning, these courses were developed in partnership with major universities here. So I'm going to skip down to Bianca's question for you, Ali, as we're running tight on time now, which is great. So Ali, for asset management, I can see there are modules on financial reporting, forecasting, revenue management. Is this from the perspective of the asset manager, or is it just general reporting and forecasting?
Yep. Yeah, great point here. And I think, you know, a point that you'll have hopefully sort of heard come across as we've talked for the hour is, you know, I think there's so many synergies with all of this. It would be great for someone to do all three programs, you know, the finance, the revenue management and the asset management. They're all so linked, you know, and beneficial to do all of them. So there are certainly areas that they overlap. And when we look at revenue management and forecasting on the asset management course, it's more of a perspective from the asset management, you know. However, I would say that is general reporting. When you're doing forecasting or anything, it's from, you know, different stakeholder angles. It's all still relevant.
Just to build on that, so the starting framework for that module, that revenue management, forecasting and budgeting module, was very much from a revenue management background. But I know both Janelle and I can say one of the frustrations of many revenue managers is how an asset manager on one day is asking you for a really optimistic forecast. Come on, show me what you really think is the highest potential we could possibly achieve. And it feels like a month later, they come back to you and say, no. Now I want a forecast from you where I can be absolutely certain that's the money I can take to the bank. And the revenue manager sat there going, I don't understand. Look, what you're describing totally different things. You're not happy with whatever I do. What the hell's going on here? So the way we reworked that whole module is to make sure that people understand why do asset managers require different things at different times in the cycle of an asset. So is it coming up to refinancing? Has it just been through a purchase? Is it about to be sold? What's going on at that point in time? When people understand that better, then they can understand the whole principle of what does forecasting and budgeting mean, and why do asset managers look at it differently. You'll excuse me, I hope, for that long answer to what should have been a simple question, but we agonized a lot over that. We worked very hard at getting that right from an asset management point of view. We are pretty much out of time. So what I'm going to suggest to you all, if you have more questions that you want to ask, you can contact us. You've got our names. Our email addresses are really easy. So you can see Yanil.Patel@hospa.org. That's him. Janelle Clark, Ali Powell. You can contact even myself. We've all got HOSPA email addresses. So if you've got more that you want to talk about, please do contact us. I'm sorry we've run out of time. I'm delighted you've all had so many questions. And thank you so much to our marvelous tutors and Yanil, for you in particular, to come up with the idea for this evening. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Have a lovely evening and a lovely day to Bianca in Hong Kong, and for those of you in different parts of the world.